Hello, and welcome to Michell Consulting's webinar series for our Michell University. Today, we're going to be working with SAP Business One and discussing the down payment process. For purposes of this webinar today, we're using SAP Business One version 8.82. And what we're going to talk about is the down payment process. This process is available in the sales as well as the purchasing. Today, for the demonstration, we'll be focusing on the sales. The down payment is a process in where we can take a deposit on a sales order or a purchase order. We can do this from the sales order directly or the purchase order, which we'll discuss that process first, or we can do it directly from the down payment invoice. What this will do is it'll create a down payment document. From the general ledger standpoint, we're going to be affecting a liability account, so we'll be affecting a customer deposit account or a vendor deposit account and the corresponding banking information. So let's begin. Let's go into sales and AR, and let's go into sales order. Here we have a sales order, and we're going to go enter an order today. And let's just select a couple items. Take off the discounts. We see here we have an order. And we're going to take a deposit. Let's just remove the discount. So what we can do is before we add this sales order, we have the ability of going into our payment means. And you can see that we're going to add a deposit for this order. We'll do a bank transfer. We'll select our bank account. Put a reference if we like, and let's remove our deposit. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a $2,000 deposit. I'm going to click OK. We're going to add the sales order. We're going to call the sales order back up. And we can see now that this sales order is linked to a down payment invoice. Look at the relationship of the sales order. You can see that the sales order is linked to a down payment, which is also linked to an incoming payment. So what we did by going into the payment means and selecting that bank transfer, we've created an incoming payment. So in this case, we've put money into the bank, and we created our AR down payment invoice. So let's look at the effect of general ledger. If we look at our down payment invoice, you can see here we have down payment invoice number 3, which is closed because there's an amount applied. You can see the amount, $2,000, which represents a percentage of the amount of the sales order. If we look at the effect in accounting, we can see that what we've done is we've debited the business partner and we've credited the check clearing account. The offset to this would be from the incoming payment. So if we click on our incoming payment, here we can see that we've created an incoming payment for the amount. If we look at the journal transaction effect, of this payment, we can see what's happening. We can see the offset to the business partner. So in essence, since we're doing a deposit, we're not really affecting the business partner's aging. It's just a pass-through account. So what we're doing is from the down payment invoice, we are crediting the bank because we're removing money from the bank, and we are debiting the cash in bank here. So we have that. And then our offset would be here to the business partner. So we have our business partner debit and our business partner credit, which is an offset. So we have here our check clearing account, and we have our cash in the bank. So we have that set up. Again, we have our sales order here. So we have the down payment. So when we're ready to go ahead and create an invoice, you can see that in the AR invoice, you can see that we're bringing in the total down payment. We can select our down payments here and do a partial, which we'll see this when we actually go to the other side of the down payment, but we can also do it in here. So for purposes of this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the whole $2,000. So this is our information. And you can see that the AR invoice process here. We're going to go ahead and add this. We're going to call it back up. And you can see here that we have the down payment, and we can see the balance due. If we look at the relationship of this document, again, we can follow the process. We can see that we have the sales order, down payment invoice, which is linked to the AR invoice, as well as the incoming payments. That's a simple example of how we can create a deposit on an order and then follow through. This is useful for when you have maybe a special order. The customer may have terms like 30 days, but you require a 10% down payment. So you can enter it that way, and you can see it here. And again, this holds true on the purchasing side. You have the ability of going into a purchase order, and doing a deposit on the purchase order as well. So let's look now at another way of doing it. We can do it that way. That's kind of a one-to-one relationship. What we can do is we can take a down payment. Maybe we're going to be doing a lot of business with a client. We want to require a down payment, maybe a bank of hours. So what we can do is we can go to the down payment invoice itself. So we can go in, and again, we can select our customer. We can select our items. Let's say we're going to go here, and they've committed to 10 of these. And so on. So we have the commitment, and they're going to pay in full, then they're going to be shipped. So same thing, we have our AR down payment invoice. We can right-click, go to our payment means. We'll do the whole amount. Let's do it without the discount. We're going to add this. So we can go back and we can see that we have our AR down payment invoice. The status is closed because there's money applied to it. Again, we can look at the effect of accounting. We're doing the one side where we're affecting the business partner and affecting our checking account, and then our payment would be our offset to our business partner. So now we have this down payment invoice number 4. So we can have this, and now what we can do is when we go ahead and let's now create an AR invoice. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to ship 2 of these of the 10. Let's take the discount out. So now we can see that we have this amount, and we can now search for our down payment. We can select our down payment number 4, and here we have the amount to draw. So they gave us a down payment for $10,250. So in this case, we're going to do $2,050. So we're going to draw that amount just to pay this invoice. So we select that, and we can see the amount that comes over. Again, we have our balance due to taxes. We're going to go ahead and add this. Go back and look at this transaction. Look at our relationship map. And again, we can see the down payment invoice is related to the invoice and so on. If we look at our down payment invoice, we can see the information here. So then let's say we did 2. Let's do another AR invoice. Again, for this business partner. Let's put our items. So we're going to do now 5. And again, we can see the amount here. So we click now to draw. We can see the amount to draw on here has been reduced to $8,200. We can go ahead here and we can select 5125. Click OK. And we can see here, we can go ahead and add this. So to review, what we did is we've done our AR down payment invoice. This allows us to take a deposit on a sales order as well as a purchase order. So if we see here, we can do it one of 2 ways. We can do it directly on the order. So for example, while we're processing our sales order, let's go ahead and select the line. So we can see here we have an amount of $5,000. We want to take a $1,000 deposit. We can go to our payment means, select the type of payment we would like to take. We'll stay with the bank transfer. And in here, I'm going to take a $1,000 deposit. We click OK, and we add. We call our sales order back up. And we can see that that sales order is now linked directly to the down payment invoice. If we right-click and look at our relationship map, again, we can see what's happening. We can have our down payment invoice number 5, which has the payment here, the incoming payment. Again, we can also see it from here. If we right-click and look at the payment means, we can see payment 108 for the amount. We can click here and see the payment, as well as the journal entry effects on this transaction. So we can do it that way. Eventually, when we take the sales order and we copy it to an AR invoice, let's say this customer has terms, we can see it's coming over in full. We still have the option deselecting, but what the system's doing, what SAP Business One is doing is, since we've already linked to the sales order, it's just doing the information for us. It's assuming that we're using the down payment number 5 because that is based on that sales order, and it's assuming we're just going to draw all 1,000. But we could actually go in and we could select from another one here. We have down payment 2, which has 4,000. So we have this one. So in essence, we could combine this. Let's say we want to take the $1,000 from here, and we want to take the 4,000 here. We could actually do that combination. Click OK, and you can see that we're doing the total at the time of creating the AR invoice. You can add that AR invoice. And again, you can see the total down payment. If we do a right-click and look at the relationship map, we can see now that we use 2 AR down payments. We have our original sales order, which we turned into an AR invoice. What we did is we have the down payment invoice number 5, which came from the sales order, which is being applied to the AR invoice. And we have down payment invoice number 2 for 4,000, which we're applying. And again, this down payment number 5 created this incoming payment, and this down payment invoice number 2 created this incoming payment. So again, the relationship map is that's a new feature in SAP version 8.82, because again, it gives you everything right here on the screen. We can also use the relationship map to look at related items. You see the item. We can also use the relationship map to look at posting details. And we can look at it to, again, look at the documents. So again, we can see a nice clean picture. So you can see this AR invoice now has the amount, and we have an amount due, which is the tax. So that's doing it from the sales order side. We can also create an AR down payment invoice without the sales order. Or vice versa. We can actually create a sales order. Let's say we're going to go ahead now and create another sales order. So we'll do here, we'll do it for 5. Remove our discounts. So on. So we can see here. So we can create this sales order. We can add the sales order. So now you can see we have a sales order without a deposit. And we can also call the sales order back up. So let's just cancel, let's say, and let's call, now we sent that to the customer. Now he's going to make the deposit. We can call it up. We can right-click, go to our payment means, and we can create a deposit. We can actually do this several times. Because let's say he has to give so much money before we're going to release the order. So he's going to give me $1,500 this one time. We can update that. We can go, you can see it's linked now to down payment number 6. We can call the order up at another date. We can do another deposit, and so on. So we have the flexibility of entering several. We may want to take several deposits from this business partner until he pays in full or he hits a certain requirement. Let's update this. And again, you can see that this sales order is linked to 2 down payments. Again, using our relationship map, we can see the big picture. So we have the same. And again, once we take this sales order and we copy it to an AR invoice, it's going to assume and bring both transactions over. So you can see it's going to grab AR down payment number 6 for the total amount, AR down payment 7 for the total amount. We can go ahead and add this. So let's call that back up. Again, you can see the total here. And if we look at our relationship map, again, we can see everything involved. We started with a sales order. We took 2 deposits. Deposit AR down payment 6, AR down payment 7. They will automatically go to the AR invoice. It's a typical way it's used from the sales side. We can also do it what we call back office, or from the accounting side. We can go ahead and before we even create the sales order, we may want to take the down payment in full. So we can go into the AR down payment. We can create it from here. And again, we can right-click to our payment means. And we'll do the whole thing. So we call up, again, we have our down payment invoice here, down payment invoice number 8. So we have it here. Then we can go to the process of creating our sales order and eventually create our AR invoice. Here we can create our sales order now. We can now order the product since they have paid us. Then in time, we can call up the sales order when we copy to the AR invoice. At this time, we can go in and we can draw from our down payment invoice, or several if we'd like. Take off that one because we overdrew. You can see here, we're doing our draw. We can add this. Let's call it back up. So again, we can look at the effect with our relationship map. And again, we can see it that way. So to recap what we've gone through today, we've discussed the AR down payment process in SAP Business One, normally referred to as the deposits on orders. This could be done from the sales side as well as the purchasing side. See here. We talked about 2 ways of doing it. We can actually create the sales order, and then from the sales order, we can go to our payment means, and we can do an order on a deposit. This becomes a direct relationship, a one-to-one. SAP Business One will assume that we're going to use that deposit throughout the order, but we can change it at the time of doing our AR invoice. We can then look at our total down payment, and again, in this relationship through the sales order, it'll carry over. But we can open up our down payments here, and we can select whichever we like. We can also do it the opposite way. We can start with the down payment invoice. Yeah, but in here, the thing is when you do it this way, you have to enter the items, but we can actually do the down payment invoice first, take our money, and then at time of doing the AR invoice, we can then pull either a total or partial amount or combine the information. So if we look here, in this example, you can see that we actually took the money of $4,500. We took it from 2 AR down payments. And again, you can see that here. So what we've done is we've taken our sales order, and on that sales order, we actually took 2 down payments, down payment 6, and then later on we took down payment 7 for this total amount, and then we applied those 2 to the AR invoice and a corresponding incoming payments to affect the accounting side. So that concludes our webinar today for SAP Business One, the down payment invoice process. This webinar is being recorded. It will be available on our website. You can visit us at www.michellgroup.com to view this as well as other training sessions we have as part of our Michell University. And with that, we thank you.